from the webinars, but we're glad that you guys are here to join us. As always, this will be recorded and you guys can disseminate it far and wide. We've had a couple of releases since the last one, so I'm going to just cover some of the bigger changes, some of the exciting stuff that we were working on during the Christmas season. And we'll leave, obviously, some time at the end for any questions that we might have. So let me start sharing my screen here. This one here. All right, so the big one that we may notice is that on the left-hand side, this module has been completely renamed. And so this used to be called dispatch. To align with our care class that we've been putting on around the state, we realized that dispatch is a bit of a loaded word and doesn't necessarily entail everything that the field module actually does include. So this has actually been relabeled field. So you might stumble on it just like myself occasionally, calling them dispatch assignments when they are now field assignments, because sometimes they are not necessarily being dispatched. They might just be pre-organized and all those things. And so making sure that we have that flexibility. So you'll see that throughout the platform. The second one I want to talk about is right here. And obvious, does anybody see anything different about this page? Obviously, we've made some changes to how the icons render. When you get a little zoomed in, it's nicer to kind of see them a little bit bigger. But more importantly, you can see right here is a cluster. And so we've done a lot of work over the last year to make sure that we don't enter duplicate service requests, but sometimes it does happen. And previously in our UI, it was really, really hard to tell that that was happening. And so now you should see this indication that there are two service requests on top of each other with the number. And anywhere you see that, you can click it and it'll spider out and it'll show you both the service requests and you can interact with them individually. As we've reviewed before, you also have the ability to kind of combine these on the back end. And once you go into a service request, you can transfer all the animals from one to another. And so we gave you the tools to consolidate them, but this is another nice, easy way to see them ahead of time. And as you click out of them, it'll kind of collapse them back. Big change that we had in most recent is the ability to mark animals as public. I'm not sure if everyone here is familiar with AB 478, which is the Found Act that was passed in California that is aimed at helping out agencies to have a little bit more definition on what their requirements are during a disaster. And one of the things is actually about public posting of your animals during a disaster and a hold period. I believe it's 30 days to make sure that people that have lost their animals can find them. We're already doing a lot of those things procedurally, but what we've given people the ability now to do is to actually mark animals and publicly display those. And so we're kind of taking away a little bit of that burden, maybe from your social media team or however you do it now. This is definitely, as in everywhere in Shelterly, an optional feature. But if you have an animal in the shelter, so I'm going to intake one from one of our field assignments. Here we go. So we're going to go get this chicken. And it's in the Cottonwood shelter. I'm going to put it into a room. Here we go. Now I have a sheltered animal. None of that was new. That's just our normal pieces. But once I have a sheltered animal, I can actually come in here. And one of the new menu items here is animal, mark this animal as public. So once I do that, it's going to say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? It's going to share your data. It's going to share a photo. Oh, okay. No, I don't want to do that. You can always back out at this point. But if you do want to do it, hold on, I'm going to grab a picture of a chicken to make this look even cooler real quick. I'm going to go ahead and attach a picture of the chicken here. Here's our chicken friend. There he is. He's beautiful. So once we mark that animal as public, you can just click through and say yes. You'll notice there's now a public data field right down here. And this thing is a public record. So if you click this, it's actually going to open that animal's public record now. And so this animal is now public. You can see the picture, you can see the organization and the incident that it's attached to, some primary color information. So that's the basic setup there. Once a disaster or an incident has a public animal, it now actually has a public animal search page that people can go to. So the page I showed you here is just that page, that animal's exact page. Ultimately, this is going to end up with a claim button that'll kick off a workflow as well. It doesn't quite exist yet. But in here, now, if I go back to managing an incident, I can go go down to this incident, and I can view public incident page. And so if I open that, this is actually a search tool that you can now pass out, and it's a URL that you can make public, and it's going to show all the animals from your organization and specifically that incident. And people can access this without having a Shelterly account. So if you mark an animal public, they are here. You can also then kind of filter. So if we are, it's, obviously I've only got the one here, but I can filter down to the chicken. You can filter by sex, if they were fixed or not in color. And so this will allow the public to come through, go through their different animals and see if they have any interest. They will then be able to contact you. Right now, we don't have the claim button, but they would at least have, hey, I'm looking for animal number 7, it looks like. I think that might be my animal. And so we've given you the tools to be able to do that, which is pretty cool. There's definitely going to be more changes and updates to this, but this is the bare minimum, and this will actually help you support your AB 478 requirements. All right, next one I wanted to show is a cool new workflow. So I'm going to hop back in here, where I am going to take in a new animal into our shelter. So this is not new, but I'm going to go here and I'm going to go, yep, this is the owner. Perfect. And we're going to take in their dog. It's a brindle dog, and it's gray. It's medium. Gary's always a cool dog name. So we're going to save and finish. So now we've intaken that dog. Again, none of that was new, but now we've got this dog and it's sheltered. And now it's day 3 or 4, and a lot of organizations don't support this workflow, but it is something to keep in mind, is that like, hey, Stephanie says, hey, I actually can't come and get my dog. Can you bring my dog back? And I know there's a couple of carts in California that do support this workflow. Probably makes more sense for large animals where you've evacuated them. But I will show you on any animal that you have marked into your shelter, you can also mark animal as return requested. When you go through this workflow, it's going to say, hey, we actually know where this animal came from. Is that where you want them to go? And so you can start to see the value of this is actually not only does it allow you to send them back to where they came from, but you can actually instead be like, hey, somebody's agreed to foster this dog. Let's create the service request. So I'm going to go through this one first. And so we're going to select like, hey, this is actually the one associated with it. And it's going to help you make a new service request. So this is, here we go. We're using the matching owner. Their information's already, but you're just going through. If you need to update anything, you can always edit. We've got dog Gary here. We're going to go next, and here's our service request. We say, please drop dog off in backyard. We can set what day we want to do that, what priority, same thing as we would do on a service request. So it's kind of like a backwards service request, and we go finish and create. And now we've created a brand new service request from that animal that we didn't have a service request before. Somebody brought it to us. So if I go back to hotline, you can see now here's that brand new service request. So instead of, we actually did, we got them out of here, and now they brought them to the shelter, but they're staying with a friend. And so we're going to just go take them over here. It's well away from the rest of the disaster zone, but you can actually use that tool. And this little brown icon with the little back arrow is what indicates that. And so when you go to do field, here's again why we kind of renamed everything, is this is actually one of the pins you can select. And now that might not be a dispatching. Dispatch might be focused just on this area, but this might be more of a logistical call. So it is still something happening in the field, but you can click on in there, as you will normally, and select that one just like that. Attach members to go do the work and deploy it, and it creates a field assignment. And so now this person is actually taking this animal back to this address instead of going to that address to get an animal. So a lot of different ways you can use that into your advantage, because you can, again, just thinking of it as a backwards service request. But brand new feature, a lot of functionality. We're definitely going to work out what all the use cases are around it, but we're excited about that one. All right. Any questions so far in the middle there? We went through a lot of big features there. I want to leave a little bit of time because then I've got one more big one to explain, and it takes a little while. I don't want to run out of time. If not, that's also okay. All right, I'm going to hop into it. So the next one has to do with the fact that we now allow you to use previously entered animals. We're calling this pre-registration. Long term, you'll actually have a portal that allows you to pre-register animals. But I'm going to show you what it looks like right now as an example of the most likely scenario is we've already had a fire in this area 2 years ago, and we did an evacuation. So that person is calling in right now, and you're working hotline, and they say, I live at 239 Firelight Court, Santa Rosa. And we go, great. Hey, is this Jeff? Yeah, this is Jeff. Okay, great. I'm going to click in here. And oh, do you still have Fluffy and Spot from last time? Okay, you do? Okay, you were able to get Fluffy out, but dog, you weren't able to get the dog? Much more likely the other way, let's be realistic. You were able to get the dog, he came to the treats, and you had to leave the cat because it ran underneath the bed. So, okay, great. You don't need anything for the dog, correct? Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to go next step. And this is going to walk us through. Here's Jeff's information. If you need to update anything, you can always kind of go into edit mode and update. But here, Fluffy is already an orange calico. We've already got some information attached about that animal from the previous incident. And so now we've really minimized how much work we have to do here. There we go. Cat is under the bed. And we can go finish and create. And there we go. So now I've created a service request. I typed literally nothing other than the address because I already had the information. That's not true. I did type cat is under the bed situationally. But now this is Fluffy the cat. There was orange calico. This was entered before. And so you're able to reuse animals. Additionally, as soon as you enter a new animal, that animal is attached and pre-registered to that owner. So let's say instead, I actually got another cat, and this is a black cat, and his name is Void, and he's black on black, always likely. Small cat. I'm going to save him. And now as I've added Void, if I were to go to a brand new incident, I'll show you what that looks like. I'm just going to go to another incident here. This is just an example one. They have to be of the same type. I come in here and I go back and I type in his address. Now we can see that we've got Fluffy, Spot, and Void all pre-registered. So every time you enter an animal into our system, it keeps them as pre-registered. It keeps all their notes, and all of that is carried forward. So if you have common places where you've done disasters multiple times and done evacs, now that's just phase one. This is just reusing data from other incidents. Ultimately, what we're adding at is the ability for you to manage these in yourself, so you can actually add new ones not inside of an incident. So thinking about going to a farmer's market, sitting down with your iPad. Longer term, we are probably going to add the ability to have a public portal for you to send out to people. That really only kind of starts to make sense at the county level. So we might think about who's going to actually be able to use that functionally. And that has some additional costs for us as well. But bare minimum, you're going to be able to reuse any data from previous incidents, as well as manage all of your data. You're going to be able to go and update people, add new animals, all yourself. The public facing one, I know there's probably groups that would like that, some that don't want to do that. And that'll be a further conversation. But really important change is just being able to reuse that data and see how quick it is to get that information in. And especially if you've incentivized people to do pre-entry ahead of time. So I'm going to hop back out of here.
Quick question, Trevor, about that. This is Lori with Scar.
Hey,
and what about at some point going through and keeping this database clean, because animals come and go and et cetera? I mean, is there?
That's definitely what the public portal version is going to look like.
Okay.
What we're ultimately going towards is people to be able to do self-management of their animal information, with carts also being able to manage that information. So in the next release, you'll see the management tools show up. That should be coming out in February, and that'll be internal. You have to have an account, but you'll be able to go in, remove animals, add animals, update an owner's information. Longer term, we want to make that owner able to do that, which has some security implications that we're working through. But ultimately, yeah, we're giving you the management tools in February to do exactly what you're describing. Is let's keep this clean. Let's go in and update animals. On the longer path of what we're trying to do with this as well is automate some of the creation of the service requests. As you saw now, I already know who the owner is. I already know their animals. What we're looking to start doing is say, hey, I'm going to text that guy. If he can get on his phone and click which animals he needs evacuated, we've saved one phone call as well. And so as we get more data in here as a disaster planning tool and preparedness tool, it gives us the ability to start automating a lot of the data entry, which is which is pretty exciting. Awesome. Any other questions on those things?
Trevor, if you have time, just really fast, can you do field team member merge and split all?
Yeah, split all is next. So let me show you guys. Actually, I have it in here. Oh, these cute ones. Here we go. So we've introduced the ability to split animals. And so here, for instance, I have one object, which is of 7 animals. So this is 7 chickens. Historically, the split all or the split animal group allowed you to use this slider, and you could say, oh, I want to split it into 3 and 4 chickens, or I want to split it into 6 and 1 chickens. A lot of the times this was used because we don't allow you to make a vet request on a big batch of chickens. So you had to split it out. But one of the nice things now is we give you the ability to go split all. We changed the way this works as well, but this will say, hey, instead of 6 and 1 or 3 and 4 or 2 and 5, I actually just want 7 brand new chicken objects. Now, we only allow you to do this on objects that have less than 10 animals because we don't want you to accidentally make 500 cows. But other than that, there's no real restriction. So if you do have 20 cows and you want to do this, you're going to have to do it twice. You're going to split them into groups of 10 and then split those into 10 singles. But right here, it's like, hey, I've got these chickens. A more realistic case, let me walk you through one that might make more sense is let's do a hotline. And I'm rushing. I've got the phone is ringing off the hook. Got Abby here. This looks great. And she says, hey, I got 3 dogs, and her phone disconnects. Great. I don't want to lose that information. I can't get a hold of her again yet. I'm just going to make 3 dogs. Now, typically we don't want to do that because we want to have an entry for every kind of smaller domestic animal. But hey, I want this to be acted on as soon as possible because I'm worried about this call. Now, finally, we're able to get a hold of Abby. We haven't even serviced the call, or maybe we have. Now I've got 3 dogs. I can come in here and I go split animal group, and this makes sense. It's like, oh, I did that quick. Now let me get back to my 3 dogs. Here they are. And now let me go into each one individually and say, okay, all right, this was the brown one. This is John. This is a medium dog, and fill out that information. So that's a much more likely scenario for the split all. But again, no restrictions on how you use that. That allows you to just split those groups out and just kind of fan them out very, very quickly, which we didn't have the ability to do. On the management side, there's 2 things. I think we covered one of them already, which is inside managing your organization. I want to just double down on this because I think this is really important for people to see. Is now I'm going to check out my favorite team member, Gerp Flirp here, Flirp and Gerp. And what has happened now is before you used to have training access or not training access. And now instead I have a user that does not like doing that. Let me get a different one. Good old Flirp. Hello? You guys can all still hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. I think my internet was hiccuping. There we go. So I'm here in Angelina's extra account. And you can actually see that you can actually give access to specific incidents instead. And so what we're able to do is actually go through and give a limited list of incidents instead of just all or nothing, which is a really nice way to kind of split out that data access piece. And then I'll go into the manage field members. We're running out of time here quickly. This is now where all your field members are going. So all those people, and this is similar to Lori's question about like, how do we update data? This allows us to start consolidating. So if you've accidentally made, here's a great example. I've got 2 Angelinas. I got an Angie and I did it twice and oh, dang it. And so as I go here, I'm going to merge team members. And so I'm going to select, that's the one I want to keep. I'm searching for my other one. Here we go. It's going to try to consolidate all that information. You're still deciding if it's training or operational, and then you can merge it. And now you can see I've only got 1. And so now what that did on the back end is not only consolidate that data together, but also all the historical data got updated. So if that Angelina object had been tied to a field assignment back in the day, that one now is tied to this user. If that reporter had been used to report animals, that's all been updated, which is really, really nice. And then what was my last one I had? The last little tiny one that I just never think we really covered was that search had a little update. Is that this used to be called people, and now this is owners and reporters, and this allows you to search for those owners and reporters. I know that we actually had somebody asking about this earlier today, so I'll cover it as well, which is evac zones. And so once this finishes, whenever you're on a search page, you can actually see what's being searched for by doing a little hover here. So phone number, email, driver's license, address, and evacuation zones. There we go. And so you can see the evacuation zones are here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go edit Abby's real quick so we have a good example. She's in evacuation zone 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to save that. So now when I come back here, if you've been diligent about adding that, you can actually go 1, 2, 3, 4, search this, and it's going to pull up Abby Moore because she's got 1, 2, 3, 4 in her evacuation zone. Now it's also pulling up Glinda Tyler because they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in their phone number. This one also has 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit less obvious in their phone number. So you will get those other ones. And again, your evac zones are actually not 1, 2, 3, 4. They're Santa Rosa 7 or whatever they might be. So I probably just picked a bad example, but it is searching for that evac zone. So if you've done that diligence, it's really easy to start searching for all those owners with those evac zones. All right, we're going to leave the coveted last 5 minutes for any other questions. There's obviously been a larger set of changes as well. Well, I should say a large set of smaller changes that have happened in the app, but those are a lot of the big ones that came through in the last 2 months while we were out on our webinar break. So we'll leave the last couple of minutes here for any questions. While you guys are queuing up your questions, Angie did put a form, and can you repaste that again real quick for people that might have joined a little later, for a training poll. And this is just for us to capture some information for you guys, our audience. We're going to publish this form out everywhere as well to make sure that we are capturing what is useful training for you. We've gotten really good feedback on these webinars. It's just a good way to touch base. It's a little bit of a sacred space to ask any questions about people, and it gets us some opinions on what features are kind of interesting and not interesting as we're continuing to develop out our work here. All right, if we have no questions, it's a beautiful, beautiful Monday night. Well, it's very foggy here, but it's still a beautiful Monday night. So I'm going to give you guys back your glorious 4 minutes back. But thank you guys again for joining us, and we look forward. We'll get the next date out for the next webinar, but we're back on a monthly cadence here for the webinars. So thanks again, everybody.